History. What do you think of when you hear that word? Dull facts, uninteresting people, events worth forgetting. As you and I gather for this video, this is the story of God and God's people. It's the story of Union Hill Baptist Church, a church that seeks to be a beacon in the darkness. As we do this video, we want to share with you the history of our church. But this history is worth remembering because of what God has done. This is His story. It's not a story of great people and great events, but it's the story of God who moves with consistency in the lives of people. Union Hill Baptist Church is located 5 miles west of Purcell on Highway 39. We want to remember that this is His story, and this is our attempt to share with you how God has moved in the lives of our people. In a few moments, you will watch through video and through still pictures the history of our church. We'll share with you the beginning on just the top of this little hill, a small building. You'll hear testimony from charter members. And by the way, there were 66 charter members of this church when it began in 1950. 1952, it was constituted into a church. And so now we want to take you and share with you God's story at Union Hill Baptist Church. Part of the story of Union Hill Baptist Church is that first building that I mentioned to you. You'll see the present condition of this building that was erected upon this site. Over the years, it's gone through a transformation, but essentially just a brick building. This building was built in the early 1950s by volunteer labor. The name Union Hill Baptist Church was selected in a business meeting on April 2nd, 1950. The mission was constituted into a church on March 2nd, 1952, with those 66 charter members. Money was scarce and hard to obtain. However, these early visionaries of the church were convinced that God wanted a church here, and so they went to work. Here's a photo of this first building as it sat upon this hill in the early 1950s. This photo was shared with us by Mrs. Myrtle Jones. And in a few moments, you'll hear testimony of some charter members, Mr. and Mrs. Kurt Huddleston, Mr. and Mrs. Buster Warden, and Ms. Myrtle Jones. They will share with you the unique beginning of this church. They will share with you some unique memories that they've had and some stories about those early years.
You know, it started with just that one little building.
That one little building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What all was in it? What did
But just nothing much.
And that was it?
Eventually, Mr. Maynard made our first benches that we had in the church.
Oh.
You know, they were just slatted benches that with a back that we sat in. And we had them, and up where that Sunday school class is, it's up high, you know, where well, that was the podium or the stage.
Oh, yeah.
And later, when we built the other, we used that part for the kitchen up there. And then we'd serve the meal out where the classroom is, as well, that's where we ate,
Yeah.
when we had the meals with. As long as we had that one little building.
Yeah. What did you do for classrooms?
I guess, I can't remember about everybody. We must have just gone off in corners.
Yeah.
I can remember that right on the very north corner, right up on the front row, Ms. Mullins taught my class. You know, J.E.'s mother.
Oh, yeah.
For a long time she taught it.
Union Hill got its name was...
The three communities joined together, Fairview and Woody Chapel and Goins. And they just called it Union Hill. And it was 2 miles from each schoolhouse.
Oh.
And approximately.
So
Yeah. And that's why it was Union Hill, yeah.
Yeah.
The first mission pastor was L.M. Norwood. Brother Norwood served in those days, early days of 1950. He was followed by Brother Jack Young in 1951, and Union Hill was pastored by 6 men prior to the 1960 decade. Clovis Hibbard was called as the church's first pastor from January 1952, and he stayed until February 1953. Brother Hibbard was followed by Roy Rector, Ron Martin, Brother Herb Masters, and T.H. Maxbury. It was during this first decade that the church built its second auditorium while Brother Ron Martin was pastor. We're standing in front of this building right now, and it was dedicated to the Lord on July 15, 1956. This auditorium served the congregation for 27 years. There are some older photographs of this building. In a moment, we'll take you on the inside and show you what it looks like today.
Your dad?
Yeah, Mr. Goss and Mr. Hardy loaned us the money for that second building, which is the main auditorium.
Where you're all, where my office?
Yeah, yeah, they loaned us all the money for that. We didn't go to bank.
The second decade of the church's history began while Brother Maxbury was pastor. While he was pastor, the Johnson Road Baptist Church donated a parsonage to Union Hill in 1960. Today it stands across the field and has been remodeled. Mr. Ed Maynard generously donated the acre of land where the parsonage now stands.
Yeah, well, you know where we got our first parsonage?
I was reading in that, it was the whole building donated?
The building, the whole building was the Johnson Church. And they didn't have enough people left, and they went to other places church, so they donated the building, and we brought it down there, and well, the men tore it down. Then the women and everybody went at night, and we'd go down and pull nails and got the lumber cleaned up so they could build. And Bill White built it out of the lumber that Johnson. Of course, we had to add a little to it, but that the Johnson Church had given us.
It was in May of 1997 that the church did vote to remodel the parsonage. It added a bedroom, bath, two-car garage. Former garage was turned into an office and a utility room. The outside has been bricked and landscaping will be added. This remodeling was done under the direction of Dell Huddleston, Roy Huddleston, and Hap Jones. Many other members have volunteered labor and help to see that this project's completed. And this is what it looks like today. The year 1960 brought with it another pastoral change. Brother Stephen Fawcett was called to pastor